Hey, welcome to 12 Tone. One of the most basic ways to categorize songs is by how fast they are. If you're organizing an album, for instance, tempo plays a huge role in pacing. It's the best tool for differentiating within a single style. You might want to start with a fast upbeat song, switch it up with a slow ballad, followed perhaps by a mid-tempo anthem. Different speeds create different moods and allow you to tell different stories, and because of how important tempo is to a song's identity, most of them only use one. They may play around with rhythms and accents, but it's the same underlying pulse. But does it have to be? Come on, of course not. Sometimes one speed just isn't enough. You might want to change the energy level or represent a shift in the narrative, or maybe just break up the monotony of a single driving pulse. Whatever your reasons though, you've got options. The simplest way is to cheat. You just take your starting tempo, and then you play everything twice as fast. This is called double time, and it's effective because you're not actually changing the pulse. All your original beats are still there, there's just extra ones popping up in between like little bonus beats. And of course you can do the same thing in reverse for what's called halftime. Because sometimes our names for things aren't all that creative. But what if double time is too fast? You want to speed things up, but this isn't NASCAR. Are there any options besides flipping straight to 5th gear? Yep, but first let's talk tempo for a second. We usually measure tempo in BPM or beats per minute, which as technical terms go is pretty self-explanatory. For instance, double time would mean going from 120 BPM to 240. But if that's too fast, what can we do? Just jump to any number we want? I wouldn't recommend that. If we start at 120 again, and then jump to, 167, it sounds random. There's no connection. So if that doesn't work, what does? Well, usually we use a tool called metric modulation. This works by taking some rhythmic duration from our original tempo and making that duration our new beat. That sounds a little complicated, but we've actually already seen it. This is what double time is. It's taking the 8th note from the previous tempo and making it the quarter note. This lets the two speeds feel connected because that rhythmic value has meaning in both of them. It serves as a sort of pivot. So what other rhythms can we pivot with? Well, anything you can find, really. One of the most common versions of metric modulation centers around the triplet, which are themselves slightly out of time, but still give you some rhythmic grounding. You can also use dotted eighths, or if you want to slow down, dotted quarters. Now you may have noticed that in those examples right before the tempo changed, I put in a fill using the duration we were pivoting with. This is a great technique for smoothing out the transition, but it's not necessary. The connection will still be there, it'll just be a little more surprising. A great example of this is Aqualung by Jethro Tull. The third section is based on the triplet from the first two, they just don't bother warning you about it. But all of this has been about sudden switches. You can also transition over time. Usually this takes the form of what's called a ritardando, which means slowing down. It's especially useful at the ends of songs to let things just sort of trail away. You can also speed up to build into a more energetic section, but that happens less often. In these cases, there's less need for a relationship between the starting and ending tempos because you're going to be blurring the lines a lot anyway, but either way, if you're trying to change tempos, metric modulation can't be beat. I'm so sorry. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to help make these videos possible, please consider supporting 12 Tone on Patreon. You can also join our mailing list for scans of all our episodes, try the exercises to learn more, like, share, comment, subscribe, and keep on rockin'.